Access granted.
My name is Jon Foster-Pedley. I'm the Dean of Henley Business School, and we're a liberal and progressive business school. We focus on producing the commercially savvy, confident, socially conscious African business leaders of tomorrow. We build the people who build the businesses that build Africa. So the title of this talk is The Precariat, Leadership in Precarious Times. And I'm going to talk about the phenomenon that fueled Trump's success and drove Brexit. It's post-industrial, it's post-Marxist, post-colonial, and post-liberal. It's a global phenomenon that may also make or break business and society in South Africa. It's a phenomenon that demands that we all think in new ways about how we work and lead. But I want to start off with a familiar question about chickens. Which came first, the chicken or the end of capitalism as we know it? I wonder how many of us know what AGOA stands for. You probably do. It's the American piece of legislation called the African Growth and Opportunity Act that guarantees firms from across Africa preferential market access into US markets in order to boost exports for us and reduce prices for the American consumer. It made big headlines last year when negotiation for South Africa's continued participation in AGOA, which brings in about 70 billion rands per annum, came down to a heated discussion over whether or not we would allow tariff-free imports of US chicken portions for our supermarket shelves. Access to cheaper food, especially something as healthy and low-fat as chicken protein, should be a good thing. These are the latest figures from Stats SA. They found that 13.1% of the population, mainly rural, say that they go hungry on a regular basis. So surely making affordable food is a good thing. So why are things so bad in the poultry industry that workers and their bosses are united in protest over AGOA and other trade deals? Instead of increasing food security, access to cheaper chicken will actually reduce it in those areas. That's called the law of unintended consequences. But I think there's an even bigger picture. And I think that the South African chicken workers are just one example of a globally growing new class of worker, which includes many of us here, and me in a sense, that has earned the name of the Precariat. The term Precariat was popularized by the writer Guy Standing, who I met recently, in a 2011 book called The Precariat, the New Dangerous Class. He describes the Precariat as an emerging class of people facing insecurity, moving in and out of precarious work that gives little meaning to their lives. Trump voters, dispossessed, disenfranchised, disillusioned American workers seeing their livelihoods evaporate to Mexican factories or Mexican immigrants. Neoliberal policies created unintended consequences that too few were willing to take seriously. It's a story not so much about the consequence of historic colonization, dire that those were, but about the ignored effect of current globalization. And in spite of the massive trade and social benefits that globalization has produced, it's also created this precariat, a new global class of people who live precarious lives of anxiety, doubt, poverty, and embarrassment, often doing work of little or no social consequence. We've missed this and its lurking dangers, and it's really important for South Africa. We're too obsessed by our own local dramas. The important part of that title is the second bit, the new dangerous class. It's dangerous because those left out are fighting back in ways that may throw the baby out with the bathwater. Anger and alienation may create regional, even global conflict. Global spread of protests from Greece to Brazil to Japan to Turkey show a growing self-awareness among the precariat that actually it's a class and there's a common theme of rubbishness about its prospects in the near future. They include the miners losing their jobs through automation, the car workers in America made redundant by the factories in Mexico, and graduates working in McDonald's and car washes. Here in South Africa, we've seen a lot of activism around existential fears for the future. When Pick n Pay was trialling self-service tills in September last year, unions were quick to object on the basis of the fear of future job losses. And similarly, last month, truck drivers went on a go-slow in Pretoria to demonstrate their fear of renewable energy. One of the defining differences between the precariat of today and the proletariat of yesterday is that in days of old, the business classes needed workers on site. There simply weren't enough people to man the labor-intensive factories, and 100% employment was actually a reachable goal in some countries, many European countries. So proletariat leaders, or trade unionists, as we like to call them, were able to win concessions, guarantees, and the stability of closed-shop workplaces because they wielded power. Today's precariat, which involves many people around us, doesn't have that power. We, are at the mercy of global forces driven by technological disruption, better transport networks, and liberal trade deals which they and we cannot control. They need new solutions. Most people, when you talk about the precariat, aren't thinking about chicken workers in KwaZulu-Natal. They're thinking of taxi drivers, auto workers, cleaners, machine operators, laborers, and even middle-class professionals like journalists, academics, computer programmers, and radio hosts, who are finding their line of work disrupted by software and automation in what's called the gig economy. Most famous, of course, is Uber. I expect a lot of us came here by Uber this morning. The platform which allows anyone with access to a suitable car to set up as a taxi driver. What these disruptive services have in common is that they create an online marketplace without traditional barriers to entry, and they disrupt or getting around existing regulations. They use dynamic pricing models to match supply and demand, like surge pricing in Uber, and have few overheads. They're also able to outcompete local competitors by securing huge backing from Silicon Valley's investors. No wonder the taxi drivers are furious. No wonder workers are scared about the gig economy. It's destroying the social order, but it's a process of creative destruction. And there's two European legends which describe where I think we're at. There's one is the story of Peter and the Dike in Holland. Now, as you all know, Holland's way below sea level, and they build walls around it to keep the sea out. And this small shepherd boy, Peter was walking along one day and saw that one of these barriers, made of mud, had a leak in it, okay? And the sea was about to go through. So Peter put his finger in the dike and sat there like a hero, patiently until help came, and now it's a legend. And the 10th century king in England was called King Canute. He believed everything he saw was at his command. To demonstrate this, he walked down to the beach at low tide with his subjects behind him and told the waves, sat on a chair and told the waves to stop coming in, stop the tide. And the waves, of course, ignored Canute completely, demonstrating his arrogance and ignorance and the ultimate ineffectual nature of the human being in the face of the forces we don't understand. So up till 2016, the so-called Western world was acting like Peter. Despite the evidence of the 2008 banking crisis and the collapse of several European economies, the prevailing attitude was that the world is changing. If we can just plug things long enough to hold the status quo together, someone will come along with an answer. Bail out the banks, hold a steady course. We'll get through it. Keep calm and carry on. Stiff upper lip and all that. What was really happening is that we were living in the age of Canute, pretending we had control over these forces that were radically changing our societies and changing African societies, with leaders ignoring the confusion and fear in the eyes of the crowds on the beach behind us, who could see with far more clarity that we're about to be washed away. We can't stop progress. We can't unmake Uber. We can't ban smartphones or unplug the internet. We can't stop the mines being mechanized. You can try to create the illusion of security, but you can't stop the forces of globalization, digitization, and change. And of course, not everything about the gig economy is bad. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Software platform owners know that they can only differentiate through customer service, which gives us great things like Uber insisting on cars being clean and roadworthy and authenticating the license and insurance of drivers. It can offer better wages. Hundreds of software developers in South Africa are making a fortune gigging for US and European countries and call centers too. Uber drivers are earning more than traditional taxis. Domestic workers can earn a better daily wage through hire a cleaner apps than picking up work for the same employer every day. And what have they got to lose? Our domestic workers rarely have any job security, any sickness benefits, or any chance of promotion, and often they aren't even making a basic wage. Yet they make up nearly 8% of the South African workforce. So one potential proposed solution for the precariat dilemma is the idea of a universal basic income, or UBI. The theory behind UBI is that in our world of plenty, everyone on the planet should be entitled to a social dividend in the form of a single payment for living. Unlike social grants, universal basic income goes to everyone in work or not. It's been tested with some success in Canada back in the 1970s, and it's being trialled in Finland and India today. And I do know, and I do understand the incredible institutional barriers to this. There's a growing body of literature that says if you really want to help the poor in the world, stop trying to create new top-down institutions and solutions. Give them money, education, and economic freedom, and they'll figure out the rest of themselves. By breaking the bond between work and income, it gives creative thinkers in dynamic, fast-changing economies the ability to just sit and think and come up with their next great innovation that will change the world from their garage. And I think we need what's called an intellectual universal-based basic income. We need to be arming every citizen in the country with something that gives them the ability to think creatively and critically in a digital age. Something that focuses on personal development and building the confidence to be relevant. The quote behind me is from former Deputy Chief Justice Dikhan Mostaneki's autobiography. He obviously is talking about specific issues in the social fabric of South Africa, but his words are as relevant to the global precariat as a whole. For this body of people we call the precariat now, it has a unique opportunity in history in that skills and knowledge have never been so easy nor as cheap to learn. Massively open online courses, MOOCs, are providing university-level education. You can take part in it for free. You can go to Khan Academy, Udemy, Coursera, and many, many more. And these are quality courses which cost nothing. They're amazing. We now, for the first time, have the real capacity with a cell phone to get education of world level that costs nothing. Entitlement won't save us. Skills will save us. At Henley, we have an international business school assessed overseas. We've now got over 60% of Henley global MBA students are in South Africa alone, and our students are passing internationally assessed exams at triple accreditation level, so they're top 1% in the world, by independent examiners offshore who don't know where they were, and our South African students, 70% black, 42% women, are passing at a better level and a better rate than the European, Chinese, French, German, Spanish, or Americans. So I have no time of soft sympathy. I know how clever we all are. What we need to do is rally behind this, build ourselves up, and drive South Africa forward. We've got the capability to do it. We talk about developing ourselves based on activism and effort, by being bold in action and holding ourselves to a higher standard of accountability. To make sure we're competing in the good gig economy where wages rise and hours shrink, we and our kids need to have job security based on capability and learning. If we improve the education system, we invest it properly in South Africa, the World Economic Forum has said that in the lifetime of a 15-year-old child, South Africa's GDP will rise 2,634% just through developing proper education. That's our next challenge. That's our next frontier. There's nothing that says the social contract that worked for Europe in the 1930s can work for South Africa in 2017. We have to try something new. But I'd like to finish off by going back to chickens. The greatest irony of all in my mind is that even after the disputes, the anger, the loss of jobs and skills, is that AGOA may well fall victim to the Trump administration's protectionist beliefs anyway. And we're all at the mercy of forces we can't control. Even my job will probably become untenable because of Brexit. Because many more of us than we realize are in this thing called the precariat. We all need to make sure we're doing the right thing together, to either get out of it or make the most of it. Build our skills, all our life, build our children's skills. Be passionate, be obsessed about it. It's the new normal. Thank you very much.